All right, there we are. So I know the other day, or was it yesterday? No, it wasn't yesterday. It was Monday. We talked a little bit about Sutra 133 and the Brahma Vihara of Buddhism. These ways in which we can engage with each other in the world that helps us stay steady and calm. So if you remember, being happy for those who are happy, being compassionate toward those who are suffering, being joyful for those who are virtuous, and being in a state of equanimity for those who are not virtuous. So I should have backed up in the sutra because, right before 1.33, really what he's talking about, Patanjali is talking about, is ways in which we get to calm our minds and bring ourselves into a state of focus in our minds where really to prepare us for meditation or to access ways of meditating to help us come into that single pointed focus. So, right before 1.33, I think it's 1.32, they talked about the beginning of like different techniques to use to help you steady your mind. And, those techniques when you're in relationship with other people are one of them. But they, in the copy, one of the copies of the sutra I have, they talked about a story of a boy who is going to school, and the teacher said, I'm just going to teach you one thing today, and I want you to, really understand it and go home and tell your parents what you learned. And she drew the number one on the board, and the children copied and drew the number one. And she said, okay, you can go home and your class dismissed. And the next day, she comes back, or they all come back, and she draws the number two. And one of the boys in the class said, I'm not ready for the number two. I don't understand the number one. And she said, you drew a straight line on the board. What's there to understand? It's just a single line. And he, he's usually very attentive and very, reasonable boy, but he just would not go on to number two. He was staying with the number one. And the next day, number three, same thing. He wouldn't draw number three. He kept on just staying with the number one. And finally, the teacher got upset with him and thought he was being unruly and kicked him out of class and sent him home. And his parents were concerned, like, why are you not paying attention to the teacher? And he was like, I just really want to understand, number one. And finally, his parents got annoyed with him and they sent him away as well. And he goes into the woods and he, takes his time. And time goes by and he comes back to the classroom, and, who knows where they are in their mathematics in the class at this point. But he says to the teacher, I finally understand the number one. And so she says, show me, and thinking he's just gonna draw a line on the board. And he goes up to the chalkboard and centers himself, and he draws the number one, and the chalkboard splits in half because his single pointed focus was so pure on that single line that it actually penetrated much deeper than just the simple drawing. And this is just to explain, how when we are able to harness our mind, when we are able to focus our attention, that we really can deeply not only understand something, but kind of, reach deeper into what the potential for single-minded focus is. So after the 133, when he talks about those ways of being in relationship to others, the next few sutras are all about just little tiny techniques that we can all use to help us come into that single pointed focus of meditation. So the first is that, calmness is retained in the mind um, by controlled exhales and a retention of the breath. So we do this all the time in our yoga practice. When we slow those exhales down, it gives our nervous system this feedback loop of calmness where we can really center into ourselves. So never underestimate the power of a prolonged exhale and a little pause at the bottom of the exhale. And then the next sutra, the next little tool Patanjali gives is that if we can achieve this calmness of the mind by centering our perception on a subtle sense in the body. Any subtle sense that you feel could be the way your breath feels, or the way, a taste, or one of your senses, or just any sensation that you have. So that developing this quality of interoception is, thousands of years ago, Patanjali was recommending this for creating that single pointed focus. And there's four more. So the next one is, if you want to go beyond just like physical sensations, you can concentrate on the supreme, ever blissful light within. I love that. The supreme, that's the translation. The supreme, ever blissful light within. And kind of meditating deeply, just like that boy on the number one, if you could really hone your attention on the deep light within. And then the next sutra, he says, if you have trouble with that, if that's difficult for you to kind of find that light, the God light, the supreme light within you, then think of someone, a great soul that has walked the earth, and focus on your experience of what their light has brought to the world. So if not from self, you find someone else to kind of emulate, and just focus in on the brilliance of their inspiration to you. And then the last two are, you can meditate on the dream state, either what dreams give you, or the peace of a dreamless sleep, kind of the peace and the centering that we find often when we first wake up. And then the very last of his little suggestions for this single pointed focus is anything at all that's uplifting to you. So if, I think Patanjali, like most teachers I think about a school teacher. If something doesn't work for one student, you try a different technique, and you just kind of keep offering things until something lands. And so really, ultimately, Patanjali said, it doesn't matter, ultimately whatever you choose that is uplifting to your spirit, that gives you something to hold in your mind that's calming, peaceful, and uplifting to you. So it could be the image of your pet, or a sunset, or something beautiful, or anything at all that really gives you that state. So I throw all those little teeny tidbits from the sutras out to just give you suggestions, but also to make you realize that these are human conditions that we've been struggling with for thousands of years, that honing our minds is a challenging thing to do. Our minds are jumpy. So any of those things that you can try to give you that centered focus is a really beautiful attempt at our calm mind. All right, so let's take a moment and close your eyes and just come to a comfortable seat and think about any of those ones that kind of I suggested outward, that you might want to try today, whether it's the supreme blissful light within, or a sense in your body, or the long exhales, or an inspiring person, or the peace of sleep, or anything at all. Okay, so whatever you're going to choose right now, let's see if we can drop our awareness down in. Bring your attention into your body. And you can choose to ignore me, but I'll guide us a little bit through trying out some of these techniques as we practice today. But if you have one that you really have latched onto and want to, be your number one that you're just going to stay with, then you do that. So welcome yourself into your breath. Observing, try not to change much just yet. Just feel your way into your breathing. It might be helpful to close your eyes, or to focus your gaze if your eyes are open on something specific. Melt through your face, relaxing your jaw, your eyes, all the expressiveness of our face. Let's see if we can melt. We're going to take a moment to sense into those elongated exhales now. So breathing in well. And it doesn't have to be forever, but just see if you can just stretch the exhales out a little bit. And if it feels comfortable to you, rest in the pause, right at the bottom of the exhale, that quiet pause. There's no need to count your length of exhales unless you want to, unless that's helpful, but just get the feeling that you're being patient with the exhales, that you're just taking the exhales are taking their own sweet time. And when you rest in the pause, don't let it linger too long where you gulp for the next inhale. Just a nice, comfortable pause, resting deeply in that quiet state. Maintain your breathing. Bring your hands together at your heart. And see if you can just focus on the sensation of your two hands touching, the experience of the middle. And in this place, offer an intention for yourself. Let's release your hands. And let's find our way onto our back. All right, so today in our practice, we're going to focus on those first two of all of those qualities, unless one that was later kind of really spoke to you. By all means, you do you with that. But the two we're going to focus on today in our practice is the long exhales and perhaps that pause, if you want to include that at the bottom of the exhale. And then the second, to just find spots in your body that you can center your attention on and bring yourself into embodiment, letting the mind live within a sensation of the body. So you could do this a couple different ways. Stretch your arms overhead, and you could let whatever pose we're doing, whatever sensation arises that you notice first, you can kind of just stay there and stay within it and notice it. Or you can focus on the breath the whole way through and just let the sensation of breathing be the physical sensation that you're focusing on, or any other technique that you'd like to try. If if you notice, if you maybe you have an injury that you're working with and you'd like to just kind of bring your attention into softening and supporting that area of your body through the practice. So however you want to choose a sensing of your internal body as your single pointed focus, you can do that. All right, so let's bring our knees into our chest and rock a little bit, swaying side to side. And as you go, just see if you can stay connected to those exhales. And they'll change. When your knees are into your chest, your breath is going to change, and that's okay. It's okay if your exhale speeds up a little bit, slows down a little bit, but see if you can just keep your attention on that exhale. And by default, your inhale will arrive, and you'll notice that too. All right, let's hang on to the knees and circle. kind of rolling your knees a few times one direction and a few times another direction. And you might notice that your attention steps away from your breath and then comes back, and that's okay too. Remember, that's just the nature of our minds. Okay, let's now take our knees away from the middle and bring them back in toward the middle, bringing your breath. All right, bring your right knee into your chest, your left leg long on the ground, and feel some movement through your feet. So when we're still, when we're sitting still or lying still, it's very easy to single pointed focus our attention on the breath. But when we're moving, we have other things that our mind is paying attention to. Left knee and right leg long on the ground. So notice the split of your focus, that you can kind of return to the breath and then maybe return to the sensation. And then maybe there's moments when the two kind of meld, where you have sensation and breath living together in the mind. So there's no right or wrong way to experience this. It's just noticing. All right, and then let's stretch open to a star, reaching your limbs really wide. Let's roll around in your wrists and your ankles. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Notice what you're noticing. And then draw your knees in. Head comes up. One more time. Expanding open to a star on the ground, stretching your limbs, and then exhaling, drawing your knees into your chest. Put your head down onto the ground, put your feet down onto the ground, arms out to the side, and let's windshield wiper our knees. And just coming into some mobility of the body. Reconnect with the breath as often as you can touch it. All right, and then come to a happy baby pose. Grab onto your feet and maybe a little rocking here. See what that feels like in your body. Okay. Relax your head, maybe a little bit of rocking to and fro. All right, and then we'll take our right thigh over our left thigh. Draw your knees into your chest. You can always take a reverse pigeon instead if you prefer. And we'll just go ahead and stretch our hips open a little bit. And remember, a little movement sometimes feels nice, or maybe you're just really into holding a pose in stillness and just experiencing that. So, whatever works for you. And we'll lift the legs straight up in the air, arms overhead. Flex and point your toes a couple of times here, feeling that core of your body integrate. And then we'll take our left thigh over our right thigh and draw your knees into your chest. Relax your head. Maybe a little bit of movement here as you come into this hip stretch, maybe a little bit of stillness. All right, and then one last time, stretch to a star on the ground, reaching your limbs really wide, and then draw your knees into your chest and come rolling over onto your side. Okay. Finding a comfortable spot to yield your body. So take a moment, maybe moving into the right side a little bit more, moving into the left side, kind of getting to know your halves, and notice if, if weight bearing into one side feels a little bit more familiar or comfortable than the other. Check in with your breath again, kind of finding those exhales, letting the natural inhale happen. Noticing subtle sensations in your body. And let's kind of find neutral now, even weight through hands and knees. And let's start to move our way through some cat-cows. Arching the spine and rounding and taking your time. See if you can move with the rhythm of your breath. Notice what the inhale offers. Notice what the exhale offers. Stretch those exhales out a little bit at a time if you can. And no worries if you kind of get, a little bit lost doing other things with your mind. If you get lost, you can just, when you think of it, come home to the breath. And then let's wag your tail, just feeling your way into any mobility of your spine that feels good. Remember, think less, feel more. Let the mind live in the sensations of the body. And then drop back towards child's pose. Walk those hands out in front of you and take a moment to experience the breath in stillness. Long, steady exhales. Let's walk our hands over to one side or the other so that we open up the rib cage, melting the head, melting the neck. Feel that breath touch the ribs. Notice sensation, whatever it is that's arising. And coming back to center, come over to the other side and feel that sense of embodiment. What are you noticing? What sensations bubbling up to the surface? Bring your breath and meet it. Okay, coming back to center onto all fours again, reaching one arm up. Exhale, take that arm underneath, twisting, relax your skull. A full breath here, melting as best as you can, feeling those exhales. And then inhale, lift that arm back up to the sky, hand down, switching sides, arm up. Exhale, dropping yourself in. Find your breath. And reach that arm all the way back up in the air. Hand comes down onto the ground, and let's find our way to a dog pose. Okay. All right, so let's take a moment to find your hands and your feet. Maybe go to that left right again here where we bear a little weight into our left foot, bear a little weight into your right foot, maybe through your hands, and just notice those halves of your body. And then come into that center line. Think of the number 1 on the chalkboard running down through the center of your body. Long exhales. Use this stretched out pose as an opportunity to find your breath again. Walk your feet forward, come to Uttanasana. Fold deeply, bend your knees. What's the sensation that's arising? Release your neck, finding your breath. Let's next inhale, stretch to a half lift. And while you are exhaling, stay here. Just feel your ground. Feel your feet root down. On your next breath in, lengthen, open your spine, the backs of your legs. And as you exhale, we'll bend our knees and melt, letting your spine release. Push through your feet, rising up. Bring the arms to the sky. And then exhale. Trace right down through the center. Once again, finding that midline. Pause here, palms to each other. Unlock your feet. Feel the ground. Eyes open or eyes shut. Your choice. Notice your exhales. Long and steady. On the next breath in, We'll rise up. And then find a cactus in your arms. Give a good exhale. Pause there. Take a deep breath while you're there. And then exhale and round your chest, chin in, forearms touch. Inhale, lifting up again. Exhale for a swan dive forward. Let your body melt. Relax your head. Inhale for a halfway lift, noticing your breath. Exhale, release again. Step back to a dog pose, feeling that integration of your two halves, even weight. Root to rise. Find the yielding, find the breathing. Long, steady exhales. Come forward into a plank. Soften your gaze. Even if your eyes are open through your practice, soften your gaze. Push the ground away, still breathing. When you are ready, we'll find the ground. Roll the shoulders. What's the sensation arising in the back of your body? Inhale for a cobra. Long exhales to release. Again. Push up on tall fours. Move around in your spine. Notice any transitions. Do they cut your breath short? See if you can stay within that long, steady pace of breathing. Back to a child's pose. When you breathe in again, push up to a dog. Exhale here, nice and long. Walk your feet forward. Come to Uttanasana. Inhale for a halfway lift. Melt to fold here. Push through your feet, rising up. Trace down through the center, long exhale. Pause here, eyes open, eyes closed. Soft gaze if they're open. Deep abdominal breath. Yield to the ground. Long, steady exhale. Notice the quality of your mind. Is it shifting? Are you starting to get focused, attentive, peaceful, calm? What is the change that's happening? Okay, we're going to turn sideways on your mat and take some wide legs. Bend your knees, turn your feet out, and just open up to a wide squat. Lengthening through your spine, drop your shoulder blades down your back. Reach your crown forward instead of sinking it down toward the ground. Maybe transfer a little weight into your left and a little into your right. And just notice what's here. How's the breath? Inhale, rising up, a standing star. Let's move with the breath. So we're going to come over and to the right and then slide over to the left. And just take your time. Feel your spine, feel the grounding of your feet. Notice where your breath is living. Center yourself, standing star. Deep breath in. Long exhale to a deep horseman squat. Rising up on the in-breath. Lowering down on the out-breath. Arms go anywhere. Can you feel that sense of working hard with the strength and power of your legs while harnessing the relationship with your breath? Standing star. Long, steady exhales. Your pace is probably different from my pace. I'm talking, so I feel like I'm breathing more rapidly. So do you, not me. Okay, so as we exhale one more time, this time we'll stay in our squat. Open up your feet, ground them. Don't go so deep. Just kind of find a place that's comfortable, sustainable. Full breath in. Long, steady exhale. And remember, you can breathe out through your nose. You can breathe out through pursed lips. What feels right? Center your gaze. Inhale, standing star. Turn your right foot out and we'll come into Virabhadrasana. Warrior two. Gaze out over your middle finger. See if you can feel that one pointed focus out through a soft gaze. Finding breath. Long, steady exhales. On your next inhale, reverse your warrior, open it up, straighten that leg for a moment, and then we'll bend again and come into Parsva Konasana. Open up through your side, rooting down, rising up. So feeling that root to rise, noticing how breath and yield work together. Focusing on those long, steady exhales. Ready? We'll come back up. Standing star with your arms down this time. Close your eyes if you can, if your balance allows, and just enjoy that wide base of support. Unlock your knees slightly. And we'll turn our feet to the other side. So left foot turns out. Take the stance that's right for you. So it doesn't matter how deep you go. You can let your hips turn a little bit. Find the Vira that's right for your body today. Gaze out over that middle finger. See if you can feel that, like that number one, just stretching out in a single pointed line through your vision, through the energy of heart to your hands. See if you can reach both directions through that hand you're not looking at as well. Ground yourself, yield, push into the earth a bit, breathe. Those long exhales are your friend. From here, we'll reverse your warrior, extend, open up, straighten your leg for a moment, and then come back to a bent knee, elbow on your knee, and stretch open to Parsva Konasana. All right, so feel those lines of energy in your body. Feel the softening of yield and then the push that comes from it. Feel the full inhale and then the long stretched out exhale. All right, and then we'll come all the way back up. Turn your feet forward and release your head down. Put your hands on blocks or the ground, however you like to be in Pasrita. You can even put elbows on blocks, whatever feels good. Let your head soften. Unlock your knees, engage your quads, open up your feet. Feel your way into those long, steady exhales now. And then we'll turn back to the front of your mat for a dog pose. Bring your legs back to neutral. Enjoy finding the connection to your midline again. Long, steady exhales. Find your plank. Deep breath in. Long, steady exhales. Yield and push. Reach through your crown to your feet. We'll find the ground. Roll the shoulders a bit. Inhale for a cobra. Exhale. Releasing back down. Come back up on all fours and then find a child's pose when you're ready. Soften your hips. Let them rest deeply. Full inhales, long exhales. All right, come back up onto all fours. Let's bring our right foot forward. Put your hands on blocks. Lunge deeply. Find that stretch through the hip flexor of the back leg. Notice sensation. Open up through your heart. Long, steady exhales here. Reaching the left arm to the sky. Bring your forearm or elbow on your knee and twist. Finding breath. Right, come back to center. Half Hanumasana. Take your front leg straight, hands on blocks. Reach that hip down and back and lift your heart. Finding your breath here, perhaps stack one block under the other underneath your left arm. Reach your right arm up in the air and twist. Dropping that hip down. Full breaths. Long exhales. Back to center. Come to a lunge. Lift that back knee up off the ground. Bend and straighten just for a moment. And then we'll bring that back foot back to the front. Forward fold. How's your breath? Halfway lift. Exhale, release. Step your right foot back. Come to a lunge. Place your knee down. Opening up the hip flexor steadily. Okay, so staying in this pose, feeling the opening through the back hip. Try not to collapse to the floor, but we yield into the ground and then push off. Let's reach the right arm up in the air, hug to the midline, press down, feel that length that the ground offers your spine. And then we'll twist. Long, steady exhales. Come back to the center. Grab your blocks. half Hanumasana. How's your breathing? Drop that left hip down. Try not to hike it up. See if you can drop it down. Lift your heart. Toes are flexed. And then when we come into this twist, perhaps take some extra height underneath your block so your right hand is on a stack of two. If that feels like a good height, you might only need one. Reach that left arm up and swing it back for a twist. Left hip drops down, a little bit of your inner thigh releasing toward the ground. Try not to hike the hip out and up. We're drawing that left hip in and down. Release your shoulders. Long, steady exhales. Come back to center. Hands on blocks in front of you. Bend that knee. Lift your back knee. Bend and straighten a couple times like we usually do in the beginning. And walk your back foot forward. Come to a fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. And relax. Push through your feet. Tracing down through the midline. Pause here, focus on those exhales. Maybe that little pause at the bottom of your exhale. What sensation in the body is arising? Can you unlock your knees? Let your pelvis breathe, let your belly breathe. We're going to root into our right foot now and come into tree pose. And you can choose a different balance posture if you want. And remember, you can have your foot high. You can also have your foot low. So, your foot does not have to be in any specific spot on your leg. Just try not to have your heel at your inner knee. If you need some balance, the wall or something is very close by you to support you. Okay. Find your breath. Standing leg is supporting you. Hug that hip in, unlock the knee, reach the crown. How is your exhales? Reach those arms up, steady softness in your gaze. And then we'll relax and come out of there and we'll come to the second side. So just not heel at your knee, above or below, wherever you like to be in this pose. Try not to let your left hip stick out. We're hugging it in and taking our thigh back and unlocking our knee joint. Bring your arms anywhere that's supporting. Soft gaze, long exhales. Notice the focus of your mind. All right, we'll put that foot down onto the ground and come up and back on your toes and on your heels. Just giving your feet a little bit of a hello. And then a little bit of a bounce. Notice the ground. When you bounce, you receive the earth. You give and you receive. All right, pause here for a moment. Arms down at your sides comfortably. Focus on the breath. Rising up on your in-breath. Exhale, lowering down. Last dog pose, step on back. Open up your calves a little bit, sit bones high. And then when you're ready, we'll find our way to a child's pose. Soften into this posture. A long, steady exhale. All right, and we're going to come to a pigeon pose. I think pigeon pose is a great place to practice this long exhale because it's a place where we often shrink our breathing to try to step away from sensation. So as you come into the right side, and of course you can be in reverse pigeon pose. As you come into the right side and you get yourself situated and you have your head supported by a block or some fists or something, once you're in your posture and you're checked your alignment, your hips are square and your spine has some freedom and you're able to melt your head into the block, find your breath. Long, steady exhales. I don't think it's by accident that the first of the tools that Patanjali gave was a breath practice of just elongating exhales and holding that bottom of the exhale. Let's go ahead and come on up because truly if we can master the art of staying present with our breathing, it becomes a tool for everything else that we do. And if we skip over that step and we try to do all these other concentrating things without our breath in our yoga practice, we just end up getting hardened in our mind instead of a softening and a surrendering in the mind. So remember, a single point of focus of the mind is not meant to harden us, it's meant to soften us. So as you come into the second side, find your alignment, find your spaciousness. It's much easier to find calmness in focus when we feel a sense of surrender and softness than when we feel a gripping or an attachment. So this is why the exhales, right? So notice what's happening to you through your practice. Are you feeling the impact of the steadiness and length of your exhales over time? Find that here again. All right, we'll find our way out of this posture and we're going to come onto our back. So we're not gonna go flat on our back. We're gonna take two blocks, one at the middle height for under our head and one at the low height for in between our shoulder blades. The one in between our shoulder blades can be across or long, like in length with the spine, or wide in length with either to the under our shoulder blades. And then if you want to, you can put a blanket over that or not. You can do a heart bench with no blanket as well. So you get to choose how you're going to be with your upper body. And you might need to adjust some things. And then you get to also choose what you're going to do with your lower body. So if you want to come into Supta Baddha Konasana legs, you can grab a blanket to put underneath each knee, or another block or a pillow or nothing at all, maybe fists. And you might also want your legs straight, okay? Or maybe you want your feet on the floor and knees bent, knocking your knees together, or just neutral. So just find a comfortable way to be in heart bench. However you want your arms and legs is great. The arms can be down, the arms can be interlaced overhead, or a cactus or a teat, or anything at all that feels good in your body. So find your position that's a happy place for you, that you feel support and comfort. And then we'll come into the breath again once you're settled. And you might be like, oh, I thought I wanted Baddha Konasana, but really I just want to straighten my legs. And just do that. At any moment, change anything. Move your way into your breath. A few rounds of just a nice inhale and a long, steady exhale. If you'd like to explore the pause, a subtle little moment at the bottom of the exhale, you can do that too. Don't linger there too long. You don't want to feel overwhelmed by the breath. We're not going to stay too long, so let's roll to our side, come out of there, and bring your knees to your chest, flat on your back, and rock a little bit, and just decide what your body needs to complete your practice. Happy baby, a twist, a rocking plow, another hip stretch, whatever feels needed. Follow your body's guidance. It'll tell you what it wants if you listen. Stay with that beautiful breathing you've been doing. And then preparing for Shavasana, you can have some support if you'd like it underneath your knees. You can be on your side or on your belly on a bolster, or you can be legs up the wall or on a couch, or you can have a pillow under your head, or an eye pillow over your eyes. Like, just do all your favorite things. And then once you settle, make sure nothing's touching you. You don't want to be distracted. And then melt as best as you can as your body starts to find ease. on the ground. Feel the support below you. Can you give yourself to the earth? Mount all the little places that you tend to carry tension through your skull, your shoulders, your neck, and your face, even in your hands. Melt your legs. Feel into your breath again. Begin to deepen breathing. Find some small or big movements, however your transition likes to go. Eventually finding your side. Finding a comfortable seat, taking your time. And feel free to use any of these tools that Patanjali offers, along with many other things in the sutra. These small little gestures of practice, of centering our mind. Notice if you feel calmer, if your mind feels more centered, if you feel more at peace, if your aperture of awareness is wider. Whatever your benefits of your practice have been, let's offer this outward to the anyone really, anyone at all that you'd love to offer your attention, your awareness, your focus to. And then let's also have a moment to send our energy and love and support to Christine, giving you strength and a sense of community, sharing our love and support. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.